Only 8% of Democrats don't like him. Ask how many Democrats don't like Ralph Nader.
Show me the data for the poll and show me how they conducted the poll. Show me who is their polling, because
honestly,
I don't trust
Bernie Sanders is popular among Democrats.
Let me just.
And that's not to say that. That's not to say I disagree, but that is to say that the rank and file, the people that they don't poll, that
leadership is a whole other story. Yeah.
I'm not talking leadership. I'm literally talking rank and file. I'm talking Washington State, Western Washington, one of the most liberal areas in the country, and I'm constantly told Bernie Sanders is terrible. Bernie Sanders is the reason why he lost. Bernie is X, Y, and Z.
I actually just quickly I have to do a quick anecdote.
One was 77% of the vote.
I was just actually meeting with I actually just went to the congressman town hall for my local district, Denny Heck, and I spoke with them. And in that room, it was most of the room was over 50 white, and that was the primary. This is Tacoma, which is one of the blackest parts of Washington State. And so the people that I saw at the Bernie rallies were not the people that I saw at that town hall. The people that I saw at that town hall were the type of people that fit what Adair's talking about, in that that takes hold. Like, for instance, Denny Heck at one point said WikiLeaks is a fully owned and operated subsidiary of the Russian government and Putin, and that basically drew cheers and a couple boos, but mostly cheers. And so there is a section that older demographic primarily is the one that's buying into it, and that's the ones that show up to day-to-day meetings, which is important when it comes to the structure of the party. But go ahead and get in there. I want to make sure Katie gets in there too.
I agree with it there. The idea that there's only 8% Democratic Party who only, or even liberals, whatever you want to call it, whatever they call themselves now, because they're not real liberals. They're not, they're just Democratic rank and file. They're Democratic tribalists. It is what it is. Insofar as they have an ideology, it's whatever Democrats are doing. We've been over that before. Like, the most vocal members of that group, the people who hold the Democratic Party in their heart, the people who were actual lockstep with Hillary Clinton, they absolutely hate Bernie, because Bernie is just another reason in their head why Hillary Clinton lost. And we do see these kind of weird discrepancies at these town halls, like that, I'm sorry, that Richard was just talking to, right? So at certain town halls, we see this idea that we only want to talk about Russia. We only want to talk about WikiLeaks and James Comey. Like, what are we going to do about impeaching Trump's taxes? And at other town halls, you have Dianne Feinstein being booed when she refuses to support Medicare for all, right? And at other town hall, in other articles, attacking his name John Ossoff, whatever. You see him attacking Ossoff, who's running for a special election in Georgia District, Georgia Congressional District 6. You see people attacking him for being, again, corporate stooge, wanting to reach universal coverage through private insurance, opposed to declaring healthcare a human right, and therefore requiring the government to step in and actually provide. You see that weird dichotomy, and I do think that in a certain sense, the people who are the biggest Democrats are yelling the loudest insofar against Bernie Sanders. But those, like I said, those people just happen to have a lot of platforms. Those people just happen to be your Joyanne Reeds, your Louise Minches, that's just who they are. It's so we are inundated with that kind of message. But I do believe that the majority of Democrats do like Bernie takes to it, especially now that there's no actual election coming up. They're free to go. I like Bernie Sanders. I always liked his platform, but I believe the hype that Hillary Clinton was more electable, and so I did not support him the way I should have. But it's over now. But hey,
I agree with what you just said. Even if, I don't know, half of the Democratic Party doesn't like Bernie Sanders, these kinds of spoiler smears on him and his integrity and how he handed the country to Trump, they don't really have a lot of weight, and they don't have the kind of weight that they would have had he not campaigned for Hillary Clinton, had he tried to run as an independent, had he not taken the road that he took in playing the political game that he knew he needed to play to not be marginalized afterwards. I think that they would have laughed him out. He wouldn't be on Chris Hayes' show. He wouldn't be doing nationally televised town halls. He wouldn't have the stature in the Democratic Party. He may be their mascot. He may be, they may be just trying to get his email list and his fundraising prowess, but he's there. He's got the platform, and he's being held as a serious contender, and someone who's actually able to shape policy and the future of the Democratic Party, or the future of the left, if not the Democratic Party.
Before you two get in there, it's going to take 2 seconds. I just wanted to point out that Katie points out something very important, that about the spoiler attacks, not just the generic attacks about Bernie being not a Democrat or being whatever else, but particularly that he's the reason Hillary lost. Those attacks I don't think have taken hold as well. Russia is an acceptable reason to say that Hillary lost. A lot of things are acceptable reasons to say that Hillary lost, but Bernie will get you laughed out of most rooms. So I think that's a very important point. But go ahead, which you can.
I'm gonna make this statement. Now I'm gonna change topics. Then I'm gonna dare have the last say in this. So I think that Katie is absolutely right. Had Bernie decided to run a third-party campaign, I think that, to be honest, from an objective standpoint, he would have immediately been polling. He would immediately have been polling better than Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and then the Democratic Party, in a fair universe, would have had to decide whether or not they were going to be a spoiler. At the same time, had he won the Democratic Party nomination fair and square, or whatever, or even with the finger on the scale, there were talks of running as a third-party candidate and splitting the left vote. So it seemed as though he was damned if he did, damned if he didn't. Where I disagree with Bernie, and this is the thing, right? He frames himself as a democratic socialist, as that, though that's his ideology, but really he's a pragmatist. He chose the most pragmatic way to get his message out to the most people, and he's always done that. And so anyone who claims that that Bernie Sanders is this big bad socialist is talking out of their ass, because what he has always done, even as the Amendment King, is find ways to get the most people. The biggest benefit for most people. That's what he does. He's a pragmatist. He's a real pragmatist. I am too. Insofar, that's my ideology. The only difference I have, it's just that when it comes to Bernie Sanders, and again, I agree with there's absolutely a cult of Bernie. Cult of Bernie is a cult. There's a cult of Clinton. Is a cult of Trump. There are people out there who are just lockstep with Bernie. They love him. I can't blame them. He energized a lot of people. But here's why I disagree with him. I don't think, if he's sincere about change Democratic Party, works. And so from a pragmatic standpoint, and this is not me having a purity test or me wanting to, just be a rabble rouser. I'm just saying, I don't think what he's doing is going to work. I think the Democratic Party for a very long time has made it a point, and they've said it out loud. Nancy Pelosi has tweeted this, that they are essentially waiting for things to get so bad with Trump that everyone just runs to the Democratic Party, because they're the only person who can save them. That's their campaign strategy. It's been their campaign strategy for the past 6 months. Hey, remember Trump? You didn't believe us the first time, but I bet you believe us now. They're hoping in 4 years that people will be so desperate to get rid of Trump, they'll vote for Gillibrand or Booker.
Just quickly to make a quick, I can't speak to Katie because this is the first time having her on the show and me meeting her, but I think the three of us would prefer Bernie be the Democratic Party, and that we were pressuring Bernie from the left to be more left-leaning on some of the things that he's not left-leaning on, rather than having Bernie have to be the far left party and then the Democrat party. That's not the kind of dynamic that we would prefer. We would prefer that Bernie was where the Democrats were, or that the Democrats where Bernie was, I should say. And
he's the real left. He's the real pragmatist.
The real center.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's a Democrat.
Yeah.
He's a Democrat of 20 years ago. That's all he is.
Where they should have evolved to instead of more near.
20 years ago. A Democrat of 20 years ago was Bill Clinton.
I'm sorry. Oh God, I'm getting old. I'm sorry. I meant 30 years ago.
Yeah. Actually, here's an interesting point of fact.
We did say that.
I want you to have the last word of there, so I want to make this really interesting point. Bernie Sanders is a centrist. Bernie Sanders is a centrist. I'll let you go. I swear you're going to get the last point of this. Bernie Sanders is a centrist. Bernie Sanders is an FDR Democrat. And for those of you who do not know, real Marxist Leninists, like real hardcore ones, they don't really like FDR. And a lot of them, they're not really interested in defending Bernie Sanders either. A lot of them will defend Bernie Sanders. A lot of socialists and Democratic socialists will go out there and defend Bernie Sanders. especially democratic socialists, but a lot of socialists are just, they will defend, because they view him as a capitalist roadster. And what I mean by that is this: it's like a lot of Marxist-Leninists believe that capitalism has to be allowed to fail in order to get to a socialist or communist state. And so people like FDR, people like as pragmatists, as people who try to create some kind of chimera of capitalism and socialism and all they're doing is delaying the inevitable and minimizing minimizing the strife that capitalism causes through socialism. But they're just delaying the inevitable, and we would be much better off if we just let the system fail, right? It's that same, just let the whole thing burn down and we'll rebuild it again. And so a lot of people, this is why my point is largely that, Brenton is being framed as some sort of hero of the quote unquote left, but the left, like, they're not a big fan of him in the sense that they believe that he is, again, become a Democratic Party roadster, become a capitalist roadster. But at the end of the day, he's better than what we have. He's better than what the left has. So Adair, finish it up, and we're going to talk about punching Nazis.
But no, I definitely agree. He's absolutely a centrist. He's not to the economic left. But here's my thing about the Democratic Party. I don't care what you try to do to it. And this is an actual and honest question. The fact of the matter is the Democratic Party simply does not care about people that are not beneficial to the Democratic Party. And so for me, I have a hard time ever wanting to go back to the Dems, ever wanting to go back and say, well, this is okay, let's try to shift the party, let's move the party, let's move. No, the party does not want to be moved. So when we talk about how we wish the party was more liberal, what has the party done for anybody? I mean, that's an honest and true question. When was the last time the Democratic Party actually did something of substance for anybody that was not the Dems? When was the last time, and I'm talking specifically about people like myself who are from poor Black neighborhoods or from areas that typically have a high crime rate, when was the last time we saw anybody come knock on our door and ask us what our problem was? When was the last time the Democratic Party actually sent out any kind of operatives to do actual change, to go into these neighborhoods, to work with these folks, instead of just promising us over and over and over and over again that we're going to somehow end racism, or that racism magically ended in the 60s, or that by voting for a Democrat, suddenly that, Black woman was making 64 cents on the dollar to every white man, she's suddenly going to be put on equal playing ground. There's never been anything there for people of color in the Democratic Party. For those of us that are the most marginalized in society, the Democratic Party represents a shit point in life. And I mean, that's better than where we're at now? Sure. And you can take that and you can very well say, I'm going to work to get better while I can, and then we're going to move forward. Me, I'm not with that. You're going to give it to me. You're going to give it all to me all at once. I'm going to take this. I'm not going to sit here and be piecemeal to what we need. So there's no point trying to work within the Democratic Party, period.
Well, so here's the thing. I'll answer your question. I'll answer the question that you have right now. What the Democratic Party offers is not the Republicans. They offer themselves as a shield.
What they've done. Not what they offer. What have they done?
What have they done?
What have you done?
Well, okay, so basically, I guess
disagreed with Republicans. That's about it.
No, they've taken up seats from Republicans. And if you ask the question, what exactly makes you different from Republicans, that becomes a more hard question to answer. That becomes a harder question to answer because, like, their basic position is that we're fiscally conservative, or we're neoliberals, so we believe in austerity, privatization, weakening the public sector by basically subcontracting out public goods to the private sector. Like, we're about that, but we're also about choice and responsibility, but we're also about social progressivism. We're also about gay marriage and all of these really kind of shallow representational things. But the ultimate reality is there's no such thing as being fiscally conservative. Truth is, there's no such thing about being such thing as being fiscally conservative, but socially liberal. That's not, you can only ever be fiscally conservative and socially conservative, or fiscally conservative and socially apathetic. That's all there is.